The Johnsky is a YouTube channel run by and run for people over the age of 13. People under the age of 13 should click off of this video right now, or watch with a parent or guardian. Viewer discretion is advised.
You don't scare me!
Moses freaking Tanae Militiaman. My name is King Prime and welcome back to another video here on the YouTube channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at another Star Wars The Vintage Collection figure that has been sitting in my backlog waiting to be reviewed forever. That being the Star Wars The Vintage Collection The Phantom Menace, Anakin Skywalker. Yes, little orphan Annie himself. There's so many jokes I can make here, but in respect for young Jake Lloyd, I will not do that. Before we take a look at the figure, let's take a look at what it comes in. Of course, at the top we have the Phantom Menace trades, done in that nice deep red that we see with these vintage collection figures. It's very dusty because it's been sitting in my backlog forever. There's a picture of little Anakin at the end of the Phantom Menace looking all Jedi-like. He has a green nameplate for the green pill, as well as the Kenner logo down at the bottom. On the back are the other figures that are included in the wave. Ahsoka, who I have and will not be reviewing. Anakin, obviously. Obi-Wan, who I don't have. Mace Windu, our previous review. The 501st Clone Trooper, who I've reviewed. Mandalorian Death Watch, who I have reviewed. And Fennec Shand, who I've reviewed. And Yoda, who I don't care about. On the bottom, we have some legal jargon, and that is about it. I say it in every single video, my friends, but you only really care about the packaging for a boxed or carded collector, of which I am neither. I'm here to open and review toys, and that is just what I'm going to do. Freeze frame.
I don't practice Santeria. I ain't got no crystal ball.
Freeze frame unfreeze, and here is Anakin out of the packaging. But before we take a look at him, let's take a look at what he comes with. Starting with some of the stranger accessories, we do have this trading remote, much like the one seen in A New Hope, that attaches to this little this little stand here via a ball joint that plugs into that little hole. That is pretty much it for this accessory. Honestly, it's very simple. It spins, has some nice detailing, and can definitely be used in a diorama or two. Next, Anakin does have this kind of like, I think it's the training shield, the helmet that allows you to not see, and so you can trust in the Force and deflect blaster charges. And very nice inclusion. I love the way that this has like the black lines all over it. I'm pretty sure that's accurate to the film. I have no further use for this because obviously I'm not going to have Anakin walk around like he's blind. But if you put that on his head, he does, blind himself, and he can then thus train without seeing. Very nice. Next, of course, we do have the favorite accessory, Eternally and Always, that comes with a vintage collection figure, that being the unextended lightsaber hilt. This, of course, being the one that we saw Anakin have for like 5 seconds at the end of the movie. As you can see, it has a nice little brass piece right there under the emitter and a little peg to plug into his belt. The plug is just above his right hip. You just plug that in and turn it down. So then you have Anakin having his lightsaber attached to his belt. And it is comically large, which is very funny to see. But then, of course, finally you do have the extended version of that very same lightsaber with a short crystal blue blade, which is very nice to see. No peg on this thing to clip into the belt, which is nice to see. So you have a nice low profile. And Anakin wields it perfectly fine. Again, though, this is hilarious because it looks very large on him. Now, moving on to Anakin himself. This figure is a spitting image, almost uncanny image of Jake Lloyd, or at least in uncanny valley enough to where it looks like a child you've definitely seen before, but that you can't put your finger on exactly. He looks like a young Anakin. Obviously, he's got the little man bun in the Padawan braid, which is nice to see. His robes do have like some ribbing on it, like a texture, almost like a folded cloth, which is very nice to see. It even goes all the way down on his sleeves and stuff too. He has a very nicely painted belt with different cylinders and stuff in bronze and silver, which is very cool, as well as the little clasp on the front painted out in that brass and silver colors. He has a soft goods waist cape, as well as was supplemented by a loin and butt cloth of soft plastic. So that is a very welcome inclusion because I love soft goods. He has brown knee-high boots, and that is about it. For the articulation, Anakin does only have a ball joint at the head because this is an old figure, so no dumbbell joints or anything like that. And if you've seen my last review, you will know exactly what's about to happen. He has a limited range of motion at the shoulder, can go all the way up because of the way that his tunic is sculpted. The shift in the posing isn't as drastic as it is with Mace Windu, but it is there. He does also have an elbow bend, which is pitiful. Like, this is almost Jazzwares levels of bad. The right arm is fine, but the left can only go up like that much, which is embarrassing. He does also only have a swivel at the wrist because Hasbro doesn't feel like retooling figures when they reissue them, which is cringe. He does only have swivels at his hips, so he can only kick back forward and kick back, nothing out, unfortunately. He has a bend at the knee, about a little bit less than 90 degrees, of course, with a swivel at the knee, as well as a down joint, an up joint, and a swivel at the foot. No ankle pivot. Unfortunately, this is an old figure, and Hasbro doesn't give a shit. But that's enough Hasbro slander for one articulation segment. Let's get some other figures in here to compare Anakin to. Freeze frame. Freeze frame on freeze. Here is Anakin next to our previous Star Wars The Vintage Collection review, Mace Windu. Here he is next to the golden standard of action figures himself, Dark Times Darth Vader, who absolutely towers over him. Fun. Here he is next to a Vitruvian Hax skeleton, and here he is next to a Mandalorian of my own design. As you can see, Anakin is a little tiny man. It's kind of off-putting to see figures this small, just because I've always worked in the scale of 3 3/4 inch action figures with, normal human-sized proportions, and seeing a child amongst that mixed, very strange. Nothing wrong with it, just odd to me. But anyway, that's enough for the comparison. Enjoy that little, before and after shot. Let's move on to my final thoughts so I can tell you exactly what I think about Anakin. Freeze frame. Freeze frame on freeze. So overall, little Anakin is one of those figures that we didn't really need, but that I'm just happy to have. This is back in the era when Hasbro made anybody and everybody, and that is a bygone idea for sure in the modern line. Seeing a revamped version of this Anakin also means that if anyone were to want to, army build younglings for some reason, you definitely could. It's a possibility. I saw a lot of people army building these when they were at Ross for like $5, and I understand why. As it turns out, on its own, without the army building possibilities, this Anakin is a just fine figure, just like Mace Windu before him. He has that dated articulation. It's actually exactly the same as Mace Windu, just on a smaller scale, obviously. So, of course, it has the same issues, but much like Mace, it's a figure that fills a gap in the collection, and it does a perfectly fine job at that. It stood the test of time because I don't believe we're going to be getting a retooled version of young Anakin anytime soon. It just sucks that Hasbro doesn't want to retool these figures with modern articulation, instead just opting to revamp the face printing and call it a day. But if you like Anakin, or you like The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, Clone Wars, what have you, make sure you share this video with your friends, share the Facebook groups, all that good stuff. If you like the content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe down below. It keeps helping the channel grow. It keeps helping me pump out this content. That's going to be pretty much it for this time, my friends. Thank you all so very much for watching, and as always, peace.